The member for Hastings.
Thank you, Acting Speaker. I rise to speak to this motion that takes note of the 23-24 budget and discuss what it will mean for not only my electorate of Hastings but for the broader community across our great state. And I'm happy to talk about the good things, because there were plenty of good things. But firstly, I'd like just to say thank you to all of the dedicated and hard-working staff at Treasury for assisting with putting this budget together, and thank them for all the work they will do in the future. I also wanted to thank my colleagues in Parliament for the hard work they put into this budget. It certainly isn't an enviable task. You're welcome. But I'm glad you are putting the effort in, and it's not me. I'm terrible with money. Look, last year this government took an optimistic and positive plan to the good people of this state. Unlike some opposite who chose to use hate, division and negativity to spruik whatever they were trying to sell, Victorians chose love, unity and a positive plan that includes better hospitals, more schools, more support to combat the cost of living. This budget will be delivering on every single commitment made at the last election, and not only will we be doing that, but we will also be repaying the COVID debt in a measured and sensible way, doing what matters. We've all heard it countless times, but it will never get old, because that's exactly what this government does. This government listens to the community, hears the community and does what matters to them. Now, here's just a few things that really do matter. $1 billion to bring back the State Electricity Commission, to re-establish government-owned energy and investing in renewable energy, and the profits will go back to Victorians. $400 million to deliver the fourth round of the $250 power saving bonus to help with your energy bills and provide an opportunity to change your provider and save money. Because, of course, providers won't just tell you how to save money. $320 million to help deliver major investment at 7 hospitals across Victoria to make sure that everyone receives high-quality health care. $235 million to support students with disability and their families, because no one should be left behind or left out. I'm extremely proud to be part of a government that supports inclusion for all. $186 million to expand the eligibility for vet subsidies, allowing more Victorians to get the training they need for the jobs in high-demand industries. Our state is growing, and we will need the infrastructure and skilled jobs to accommodate that, and now it's just a little bit easier to transition. $91 million to work towards providing 50 local mental health hubs and continue to deliver on the community-based services. And I'm very happy to say 9 locals have already opened, and I believe another 12 are expected to open in the coming months. This is something that is extremely close to my heart, and I'm very pleased to be part of the Andrews government that has made record investment into mental health and is committing to implementing all the recommendations of the Royal Commission into mental health. That drives me to be here. $46 million to train the next generation of paramedics and introduce our first specialist paramedic practitioners who will assist our paramedics and allow them to respond to more call-outs. Now, look, that was just a portion of some of the wonderful work on the way, but we will also be continuing and expanding on key programs. We've continued our ongoing investment into our kids' future by providing kinder services for 3- and 4-year-olds for free. We know that young families are doing it tough at the moment, and with this awesome initiative, they will save on average $2,500 per child per year, making sure that there are no barriers for early childhood education and providing a level playing field for every Victorian family. That's doing what matters. Just touching on that note, I'm sure we can all agree that one of, if not the most important things we do in this place, is trying to make the future better for kids. And not just better for some kids though, better for every kid. This is all being done by the Andrews Labor government's record investment into childhood and pre-prep with Best Start, Best Life reform. And I've mentioned it already, but when something is so good you just want to talk about it more than once. We've made kinder free for 3- and 4-year-old kids in participating services right across the state. Then kids can transition from 4-year-old kinder to pre-prep, which is a universal 30-hour-a-week program of play-based learning, which will set them up for every possible success before heading into the primary school system. Not only are we providing more kindergarten options, but also moving forward to address the dire need that is currently in childcare. We will be establishing 50 government-owned and affordable childcare centres. Now, I hear stories all the time of people in my community that can't get their kids into the local kindergarten, and they can't get them into the neighbouring communities. So we've made the decision not to wait for other levels of government to forge ahead and start the work ourselves, because the community deserves it and they shouldn't have to wait any longer. Acting Speaker, I could talk about many more of what this government is achieving and will continue to achieve, but I don't want those on the other side to feel too inadequate. That would not be fair. On the campaign trail, I often heard from opponents that Labor doesn't care about the peninsula or the electorate of Hastings. Labor doesn't do anything in the electorate of Hastings, and so on. However, that's just simply not true. Even with the little, if any, advocacy we had from the previous member, this Labor government has invested and will continue to invest in the electorate of Hastings. And I'm using that wonderful seat at the table to help drive that further. Now, I'll run through some of the projects and things that have been done in the former Liberal-held seat, so I shouldn't expect too much resistance from the other side in relationship to money only going to Labor seats. I'll start with roads. The Andrews Labor government invested to improve the once extremely congested roundabout on Western Port Highway, intersecting with Cranbourne-Frankston Road. Now, before the upgrade, during peak hours, it was a mad dash, risking life and limb to enter the roundabout and to find your way out safely. And that's why we've upgraded it to an intersection with lights to improve congestion and have a much better flow of traffic, and importantly, reduce accidents. We've also continued more work along Western Port Highway to upgrade key intersections in the growing communities in that area. Additionally, the roundabout at Warrandyte and Baxter-Tooradin Roads has been completely revamped, with the resurfacing of Golf Links Road also, all part of the Andrews Labor government's suburban roads upgrade. And I'm very happy, and I've spoke about it earlier today, that we secured funding for pedestrian safety upgrades at the Somerville roundabout, and this funding was in the previous budget, and I'm happy to say that works have now commenced. And only recently, unfortunately, a young girl was crossing at the crosswalk and was hit by a car. She was obviously quite shaken. I'm very happy to say she was well, and I'm so happy to see these improvements start. And I will continue to advocate for further traffic upgrades to that roundabout. Now, before I continue, I just want to mention two quotes my staff found on Hansard, attributed to the former Liberal member for Hastings. On the 6th of the 6th of 2019, under the title of Frankston Hospital, Acting Speaker, Mr Burgess said, and I sort of paraphrase, yes, "The Premier and the Treasurer have misled and shortchanged the people of Frankston and surrounding areas by asking for their votes by promising more than $500 million to build an 11-storey Frankston Hospital upgrade, including a full story for people suffering from mental illness." The other quote, titled Summers Primary School on the 24th of the 2nd of 22, and I say again, I paraphrase, he says, "Premier, when you were first elected, you promised Victoria you would govern for all Victorians. My community is part of Victoria. And ever since you were elected and made that promise, you have systematically ignored my community." Now, Deputy Speaker, you're probably wondering why I told you that, and I'm going to tell you why. As I mentioned before about the record investment this government has achieved for early childhood services and education, that record investment has been felt over Victoria and indeed in the electorate of Hastings. Since 2017, this government has provided, through various pieces of funding streams, over $19 million for early childhood. This funding has included free kinder, COVID-19 support packages, infrastructure improvements, technology equipment and more, because we know how important it is to provide for every child in every single part of Victoria, no matter who your MP is. Now, not only has this government supported the electorate of Hastings with early childhood, but also through continued funding to our health services. We've provided over $9 million to Peninsula Health for different services, which include critical plant items, essential infrastructure for acute services. And Peninsula Health have services across the city of Frankston and the Mornington Shire and have given fantastic and loving care to all of their patients. I also know that many of my constituents visit the fantastic Frankston Hospital, which has received continued and much-needed funding for health services. And this is the good bit, Acting Speaker. That includes a $1.1 billion redevelopment of Frankston Hospital, which will deliver a new 12-storey clinical service tower, a main entrance, 130 beds, new spaces for mental health and oncology services, and 15 new operating theatres. Now, I was recently on site with the Premier, the Minister for Health, the Member for Frankston and the Minister for Planning to oversee the continued expansion of this redevelopment, and it really is quite spectacular, and it is happening. I've also had the great pleasure to visit schools in my electorate, and matter of fact, I've visited all of my schools, and in fact several more times. I'm committed to improving services for them and building on the work that has been done and continues to be done by this government. Now, here's the good part.
Oh, there's more.
Yes, there's more. Over $25.6 million in funding and grants have been shared amongst schools across the electorate of Hastings. Over $25 million. While the Liberal member sat in his office saying he couldn't get any money for them. Early in the year, I visited Western Port Secondary, who are building new spaces for their junior and senior schools, thanks to a $10 million grant from the Andrews Labor government, and the work should be finished hopefully at the end of this year. So in total, over $40 million has been invested in our kids' future through early childhood to primary and then secondary school in the electorate of Hastings. Now, additionally, over $740,000 was provided to the Mornington Peninsula Shire Council for the Somerville Recreation Hub to deliver 300 square metres of skating and outdoor recreation, which also includes a half-court basketball ring, parkour circuit and some trampolines. And I was proudly involved in the skate park project when I was a councillor. And I'm happy to say, having a seat at the table as a councillor, I was able to get lighting put on that park so they could actually skate at night, which makes a lot of sense. And it's also good use of our money. Speaker, just because my electorate hasn't had a seat at the table, Acting Speaker, hasn't had a seat at the table for 12 years, has not meant that we have missed out from the great things this Andrews Labor government has done. Now that we have a seat at the table and a voice to be heard, it can only mean better and greater outcomes for the good people of the electorate of Hastings, because that's what they deserve, that's what they've been needing for a long time, and that's what they are telling me they want. So that brings me to the 23-24 budget. So I'll run through this very quickly. Now, actually, because I was a brand new person running it, unfortunately I wasn't expected to win. So the Treasurer told me this at lunch. And so I ran at the electorate with $200,000 worth of promises. My Liberal opponent, who was expected to win, ran with a grand total of $800 million worth of promises. Didn't really work out. Look, I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful for the Premier and the Treasurer for recognising this electorate and topping up my electorate money. This is my first budget. I'm looking forward to many more budgets. I will continue to advocate. There will be many more. I will continue to advocate for my community, and I know that the Andrews Labor government will continue to advocate also, and we are grateful. Thank you.